Oh man, being in the Ring of Honor means so much to me because I was at every home football game when East High was undefeated and was state champion 6 years in a row. And I seen so many great players, even my brother Carl Anderson. I mean, Tisdale, Robies, Andrew Robinson, Raymond Shepard. I mean, it's such a great honor to just be in the Ring of Honor, knowing I played at the same high school with these guys.
It's a huge honor. It validates all the hard work we did over the years, and playing with some great guys and teammates and just making it all happen. I'm proud to be a champion.
It's extremely exciting for me. I never really considered myself one of the premier football players that have come through East High. I thought I was successful at what I did. I really appreciate being recognized by the school, by the organization, and I'm really proud. It's nice to be recognized for the work that I was putting in when I was playing here and the success that we had.
What it means to me to be in the Ring of Honor is it's something that I still can't believe that I was selected to be as a part of these gentlemen that have gone through this program for years. It means so much. I mean, as a young child or as a middle school student, going to football games and thinking, oh my God, one day I want to be a Trojan. I want to be out on that field. And to now, today, being inducted into this ring, it's just incredible.
Actually, in a nutshell, it culminates everything that I've ever done in my life professionally, in that anything that I've done that's been a success professionally, I can trace right back to being an athlete and a coach and a student here at East High School.
I know this is quite an honor for my dad to be inducted into the Ring of Honor. He's always cherished his football memories. He talked about a lot when I was a kid, playing with Jerry Moses and being part of a team that was undefeated and winning the state title 2 years. So it was a big honor for him. I mean, it was a proud moment. He loved those time and memories on the football field like all football players do. Dad took a lot of pride in playing both ways, offense and defense. I believe he was the only starter that did that as a junior, from what he tells me. But you know how dads can kind of inflate the stories a little bit. But it was a great listening to the stories. I mean, there's so many over the last, 25, 30, 40 years that a guy can remember so much. But he took a lot of pride in his football career here at East High and a lot of the memories and friendships that he made during that time.
Oh, it would be unbelievable. He was into sports through his own initiative, plus me and plus my brother, plus his brother Roger. So he had a lot of time up here with the family, and they left a trail for me to follow, and luckily I was talented enough to do it.
My favorite football memory is when we were seniors and we played our first game on the way against Ames High School in Ames, Iowa. And it was my first touchdown, it was my first win, and we had the jitterbugs. Even though it was 0-0 at halftime, we came out and smoked them in the second half. So that was the most favorable game.
I was just telling Carl's little brother, I said, one of the first memories I have is obviously I was a lineman and blocking for Carl. And I don't remember which game it was, but I do remember, we're at the goal line and it's basically a scrum trying to get him across the goal line. And me grabbing him just as hard as I could and pulling just as hard as I could so we'd both fall into the end zone. It's probably one of the best memories I've got. And I don't think we were seniors at that point. I think we were juniors. But it's just one of those that sticks in my mind. But, there's so many good memories. Playing here was an honor. We had a blast. We were winners and champions, and there's just a lot of things that come flooding back.
Favorite football memory, probably getting to play in the playoffs our senior year. Unfortunately, we didn't win the game, but it was actually probably one of the most fun games I had. Actually got to play against a lot of guys I grew up with. So I was lined up against them, going at every single play. Got to play the whole game and got to be exhausted. We didn't come out on the top end of the scoreboard, but it was probably the most fun I can remember having, and it was a lot of fun finishing my career at East.
You know, my favorite football memory, it's really going back, yeah, it's hard to pick just one, but going back through middle school, just the teammates, it just felt like one giant family all the way through. We get to high school, we combine with this, I went to Logan, so we combined with the athletes and football players from Bunger, and it still felt like one giant family, and it felt like that all the way through. So really, every day at practice, I mean, you fought with your siblings normally, but it just felt like it was incredible to be that close to individuals that you were going to school with. So there's not real one specific memory, it's just all of them combined together.
My favorite football memory was beating West High when we were ranked number 1 and they were ranked number 2, and it was the first high school football game to be televised in Iowa, and there were 10,000 people around Sloan Wallace Stadium, and we took them down basically. And the good thing about it was I knew some of the kids who played at West, Forey Smith and those guys, and it was one of the best high school football games I've ever experienced.
You know, one memory talked a lot all the time is never being beat, the big rivalry in East versus West back in the day. The memory you talked, it was a Friday going to a grocery store with my mom, sitting in the car, and a couple guys actually jumped him at a supermarket before the game. He said that night he knew what was online, what the rivalry was. Went out that night and they ended up winning the game. But he talked a lot about playing for Jerry Moses. I remember my grandma has a picture of Jerry, my dad, on my grandma's couch. I think they were signing a letter of intent to Iowa State at that time.
I'd say his favorite football memory would be playing with his little brother, Roger, who became an All-American at Cincinnati and played for the Packers. They were in the backfield together here at East High. And I think those memories were high on his list. My dad was a sprinter, and my uncle Raj was a East-West runner. So there was a combination there that made it pretty good for Rapidsburger's football team back in the late 30s.
Good evening, everybody. All right, my name's Josh Payton. I'm the assistant principal here at East High. I've had the privilege of serving East for 6 years now, with this being my 4th year as the assistant principal. So I'm honored to be up front and be able to kick this off today. One thing I do want to mention personally, my parents are graduates of East High in the class of 1981, Mary Rice and Rich Payton. So this is kind of a traditional thing for me, so I'm excited to be able to do this. I'm kicking off tonight by recognizing our distinguished guests that we have in the room. I will start back behind everybody is Dr. Jane Lindeman, Superintendent of Waterloo Schools. Our head principal, Joe Parker, is to my right here, your left. Brenton Shavers, our athletic director here at East High. And then in the back, we have Mayor Hart, Mayor of Waterloo. All right, and at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Parker to say a few words.
I hope you don't have this feedback. Okay, can everybody hear me? Okay. They didn't know what they were doing when they gave me a microphone because I talk a lot. I get in trouble for that all the time. First, let me thank and welcome everybody here. This is, as I found out, to be the largest, bit of feedback, the largest turnout that you guys have had so far for Ring of Honor. And for me, this is my 2nd year here, and as a former athlete and football player, this kind of touches and fills my heart a little bit. because I know how it is to be a former athlete, and then come back and be able to have that camaraderie and see some of the faces that you haven't seen in a long time. I haven't been able to do that for a while, so just to see, you guys engage and be able to talk and laugh and share stories again, it kind of gives me a sense of pride just to be here working at a school that does something like this and allows for such a great ceremony. So it is great to see. And something else that has been interesting that I noticed recently, I saw I'm born and raised Chicago, so I saw the Bears and Packers game, kick off the season. And at the beginning of the game, they had the 85 Bears come out. And they all came out, and it's really interesting. After a while, you can't tell what position anybody played. And like Jim McMahon could have been a tackle. Everybody, just changed. And so after a while, you can't change. So I've been doing that all night to you guys, trying to figure out what position you guys played. But as a former football player, I myself was a guard. I was an offensive lineman. And one of the things that I always noticed, the running backs get all the blame, they'll get all the glory. Quarterbacks, running backs, who we protect. Defensive linemen, I played defensive tackle also. I went both ways. And we keep everybody off the linebacker so they can get 20 tackles a game. So, and kind of indulge me a little bit. If you were an offensive lineman, stand up. Anybody in here that was an offensive lineman, stand up. So can we give a hand so they can, for all of the things that we do as offensive linemen, who we don't get that glory all the time. We don't get an opportunity to get clapped for. So just want to make sure you guys indulge me a little bit. So, and I just noticed we also have another distinguished guest here, Mr. Dan Huff, as our district athletic director just came in. Just want to make sure we acknowledge him as well. And for our dinner tonight, I also would like for everybody to give a hand to the young ladies that helped to serve all of us tonight, Miss Ariana Ezel and Lori Dell, who helped out for the night. Because there was a lot of you and two of them. Okay. So again, I wanted to make sure I welcomed everyone and let you guys know how much I appreciate being a part of this and look forward to doing this many more times, because this is a great event. And I want to make sure we continue it, and to honor all of you guys as often as we can, as much as we can. But now I'd like to introduce our master of ceremony. He was the starting tight end on East's 1970 state championship team, was an all-conference football selection at the University of Northern Iowa. He taught and coached for 41 years in the Waterloo School District and spent 18 years coaching football at East High. He's been very instrumental in starting and continuing the East High Football Ring of Honor and is a 2009 inductee himself. Please welcome Mr. Charlie Aldridge.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome, welcome, welcome. Wow, to our 15th annual Ring of Honor ceremony. Tell you, what other school remembers, recognizes, acknowledges the rich history, heritage, and tradition of East High football, like what we got going on here tonight for our 15th year. I need to single out several people and groups for their continued support for this special event. And first of all, Mr. Parker, principal of East High School, for making this year's ceremony one to remember. In the past, we've had the East High Culinary Department serve the food, but with the new Career Center being built over there, they have that transition. They just didn't get everything done in time. But we want to hopefully they'll be here next year, but we appreciate Mr. Parker, the administrative staff, along with Secretary Tina Rowe, to provide our tasty refreshments. Again, thank you, Mr. Parker. Secondly,
A huge thank you to the East High Golf Alumni Committee that helps us each year financially in purchasing the Ring of Honor polos, the plaques that go in the hallway out there, the certificates, and the frames. And for those of you who play in that golf tournament, at least you know where some of that money goes. So again, thank you to Dale, Lynette, Tim, Brian, Amy, and Scott, the East High Golf Committee. So we appreciate your support here again. We'd also like to mention the East Ring of Honor support towards East High School with our brick walkway project, which is right outside on Vine Street. And if you had a chance, you can walk by that. We initiated that fundraising project, and to date, we have raised over $8,000 to give to East High School. Information, if you're interested in getting a brick, the information is there in the back, and feel free to get that taken care of. In addition, there's an East Ring of Honor DVD of players and coaches' memories that are on for sale in the back there, with over 50 members of coaches and players giving their favorite stories of their time at East High School. And you may have seen some of them on the moniker up there as they get playing. So be a great Christmas gift. If you haven't seen it, you may go ahead and take care of that. Also, like to recognize in the audience any other former East High football players here tonight. Anybody that has put on the orange and black. You know, the Ring of Honor guys will tell you it's not an individual sport, and they couldn't be here without their teammates. So at this time, if you have played football at East High at any time in the audience, please stand up so we can recognize everybody else. Come on, former East High football players in the stand, yes. We would like to wish head football coach Xavier Leonard, his football staff, and the 2019 football team the best of luck tomorrow night in their game against Webster City. So if you get a chance, get out there, support your Trojans, no matter what. At this time, I'd like to read our mission statement. This is the exact same mission statement we had 15 years ago, and it still holds true today. The Ring of Honor has been established to recognize former outstanding East High football players and coaches who excelled during their playing career at East High School. This select group of former Trojans will have made major contributions to the success of East High School football and brought positive recognition to the program from their outstanding achievements on the gridiron for the orange and black. The common denominator for all members of the Ring of Honor is knowing that regardless of the year they played on, for the achievements of the team they played on, they share an equal status. Once identified, all Ring of Honor inductees attain a lifetime membership. Each member never graduates, never goes on the injury reserve list. He is always eligible, never moves out of the districts, and never transfers. This is one of the highest honors a football player at East High School can attain. Established in 2005, this is the 15th year in existence. 101 members have been inducted so far, and with tonight's 7 new inductees, we are proud to announce a grand total of 108 members and counting. We'd like to introduce you to the members in attendance, but first, let's take a moment of silence in remembrance of those members who are no longer with us tonight. Carl Anderson, Craig Atkins, Fred Becker, Carlisle Bixby, Frank Bloomquist, Don Buck, Don Buzzard, William Big Sun Flowers, Tony Green, Mike Hewitt, John Hollingsworth, Manny Holmes, Emmett Hoosman, Brian Jones, Coach Larry Jones, Coach Ron Johnson, Pete Middleton Sr., Joey McCraney, Jerry Moses, Coach Leonard Raffensberger, Walter Reed, Reggie Roby, Roger Stevens, John Tidor, and John Wagner. Thank you. Now, let's recognize and acknowledge our ring of members who are in attendance tonight. Gentlemen, when I call your name, if you want to stand up, if you really want to look good, look right to the camera and make a wave because you're on tape. They'd rather see the front of your face than the back of your head. So we go from there. Let's start with our Ring of Honor members and the year that they were inducted. Start with our linemen, because Mr. Parker brings up the linemen. Of course, you got to bring them up first, right, Mr. Parker? Got that right. 2018 inductor, Gary Blonigan. Gary, please stand. Please stand. Gary Blonigan. 2015 inductee, Steve Elfritz. 2014 inductee, Jeremy Jones. 2010 inductee, Dave Neuendorf. 2006 inductee, Dwayne Ort. 2007 inductee, Cole Southworth. 2007 inductee, Larry Tees. 2008 inductee, Tom Thorson. 2010 inductee, Ron Turner. Let's go to our linebackers. Coming all the way from Chicago, 2017 inductee, Steve Dullard. 2016 inductee, Orrington Gardner II. 2010 inductee, Brian Payne. 2013 inductee, Rod Payne. 2018 inductee, Tarek Stevens. 2018 inductee, Jamel Rowe. 2014 inductee, Scott Rowe. Let us meet our defensive backs.
Stevens is here.
Yeah. 2010 inductee, Dave Magnuson. 2011 inductee, Tim Moses. 2016 inductee, Jeff Smith. Making a rare appearance, 2011, Bill Tate Sr. Making an even more rare appearance, 2007 inductee, Mike Woodley. Let us go to our quarterbacks. Making a sacrifice to get here tonight, coming out of Ravenwood facility after suffering a series of minor strokes, but he made it here tonight. 2013 inductee, Craig Carper. 2007 inductee, John Dunn. 2015 inductee, Lance Dunn. 2017 inductee, Dennis Hankner. 2013 inductee, Paul Owen. And let us go to our offensive ends. Talk about rare appearances. 2008 inductee, Darius Lovelace. 2007 inductee, Mike Roby. 2006 inductee, Andrew Robinson. 2012 inductee, Mike Watkins. Let's go to our running backs. 2011 inductee, Randy Lee. 2006 inductee, Norm Montgomery. 2018 inductee, Billy Ray Jones. 2008 inductee, Tony Stevens. You know, in 2005, we started the Ring of Honor with 8 inaugural inductees. 5 of those 8 are still with us tonight. And this is the first Ring of Honor group that was inducted 15 years ago. Offensive and defensive lineman, Mike Allen. Linebacker and lineman, Sean Hewitt. Linebacker and fullback, Mark Loftus. Tailback, defensive back, Neil Moses. Quarterback and tailback, Gary Stevens. Did I happen to miss anybody? Well, let's move on to our coaches because they get a little more descriptive because they're coaches. Serving as the first head freshman coach ever at East High School, then an assistant sophomore coach, head sophomore coach, and varsity assistant, attaining success at every level. The doctor of examining the X and O's of football, 2010 inductee, Al Lampman. Teaching and coaching at Logan Junior High School for 33 years, the firm but fair mentor and biggest supporter of hundreds of future East football players, and later an important member of the East High football staff, 2011 inductee, Marv D. Ward. Assistant coach at East from 1971 to 1975, working with the offense and defensive backs. He helped lead East to the #1 ranking championship in '71 and also #1 ranking in 1973. In addition to being an outstanding teacher in the mathematics department, 2016 inductee, Lowell Grunwald. Starting his coaching resume at Logan Junior High and on to East as a sophomore coach and later a varsity assistant. His dedication to East football and desire to make every player better as a student athlete and a valuable contributor to society, the man who bleeds orange and black eternally, 2007 inductee, Mike Shealy. This coach was the professor of the offensive line, instructing his East players how to do it the right way during the week and seeing them pass the test each Friday night, propelling an East offense that dominated its opponents. His coaching record while an assistant at East for 6 years was an astounding 49 wins, 4 losses, and 1 tie. 2010 inductee, Larry Van Ort. And then the godfather of the coaches. During his 18-year career as head coach, he led East to numerous conference championships, playoff appearances, and a state championship in 1971. He has accumulated more wins than any other head football coach in East High history and in Waterloo School history. Inducted into the Iowa Coaches Hall of Fame, 2013 inductee, Roger Kettleson. You know, ladies and gentlemen, without a doubt, what we have here is a collection of the greatest high school football players and coaches in the state of Iowa in one place at one time for one event. Can we get a round of applause for the East High Football Ring of Honor? All right. Now let's move on and get to our inductees. Our first inductee is a memorial for Eugene Stevens. Eugene Stevens graduated from East High School in 1940. While attending East, he participated in football, track, and wrestling. Now, you know how hard it is to get information on somebody that graduated in 1940? Well, thanks to Gary, his son, he got us a lot of the biography, which I will read here in a minute. But trying to get the pictures from an annual was really, really tough. We wanted to get some pictures to put on the board back there, but there's no way we could get it from the annual. But we do want to thank Tom Thorson for giving us your book from 1940, Tom, and letting us get the pictures, so we appreciate that. And I will give this to Gary. He'll look through it and then get it back to you, Tom, to put it back in your collection. And speaking of small worlds, I was looking through the annual, and lo and behold, one of your dad's teammates was a Willie Allen. Willie Allen Sr. and Mike Allen's dad. And I got a picture of him here. I passed around you guys. You would be shocked at the resemblance here. Just shocked. But a picture of Willie Allen Sr. During his athletic career as a football player, he excelled as a halfback and was known for his speed. After graduating from East High, he received a track scholarship at Iowa State Teachers College, now known as UNI. While attending Iowa State Teachers College, he worked at the Illinois Central Railroad in the boiler shops. In December of 1941, World War II broke out and he was drafted to go into the Army. Eugene volunteered to join the Army Air Corps during this time and went to several flight schools to become a pilot. He spent a year in different flight schools in California, Arizona, and New Mexico. In 1943, he earned the rank of second lieutenant and became a pilot on the B-24 bomber. He flew air raids out of northern Africa and then flew to England. He was in England for about a year when his 8th mission, he was shot down in Germany. He spent a year in a German prison camp in Saigon, Germany, until the end of the war in April of 1945. After the war, he continued to work for Illinois Central Railroad, where he became a locomotive engineer on steam engines and later an engineer to the modern-day diesel. In the mid-1960s, he joined the Air National Guard. In 1969, he went to Fort Rucker, Alabama, to learn how to fly helicopters. After 3 months of schooling, he started a career in the 194th Cavalry Unit in Waterloo, Iowa, where he and others in the Cavalry Unit were a part of helping the medevac program with local hospitals in the area. He later served as a volunteer at Lincoln Elementary School while his grandson attended there. He died in 2012 as the oldest prisoner of war in Iowa and was the only East football player ever to be a prisoner of war and survive. And we thought 2 days were tough. Gary and Eugene are the 7th father-son combination to be inducted into the Ring of Honor, joining Paul Owen, Brian and Larry Jones, Mike and Sean Hewitt, Jerry and J.J. Moses, Tom and Travis Thorson, Tony and Tarek Stevens, John and Lance Dunn, and 2019 inductee Brent Shaver and Manny Holmes. Accepting on his behalf for his father is Gary Stevens, and the East High Football Hall of Fame is proud to welcome into the Ring of Honor 2019 inductee Eugene Stevens.
Well, as you could probably tell, I gave Charlie everything to say on a piece of paper, and I got to fill in the blanks. My dad and my uncle were here in the late 30s, and they had quite a football team. They were both in the backfield together, and they enjoyed 1 year of playing together. I think that was quite a treat for both of them. After the war broke out, Dad was up to TC, and he was quite a track guy. I don't know if you remember the guy by the name of Tyson. You probably know that name. And he had the opportunity after he got drafted to volunteer for the Army Air Corps. There was no Air Force back then in them days. And he said, sure, I'll anything to get out of carrying a rifle. He started by going to different schools out in the West Coast, California. And my mom hooked up. They weren't married. They hooked up together and got married. Dad had to lie about his age. He was only 20. He had to be 21 back then. The guy did. The girl didn't matter her age. Mom followed Dad down through California, New Mexico, Arizona, different flight schools. And they had a group of women that followed their husbands to all these schools. Dad got his crew. After about a year down in Texas, he's got his bomber, a B-24 bomber. They flew down to Brazil. Down in Brazil, there's quite an air base for B-24 bombers. He flew from Brazil over the ocean to northern Africa. He bombed from there, and then later went up to England. He was stationed in England for almost a year. His wing commander was Jimmy Stewart, the actor. And he was a wing. I asked his son, how many airplanes in a wing? 15? 10, 15? So it was about 150 guys under the command of Jimmy Stewart. Dad got shot down, and he did his best. There was 3 different prison camps back then. There was an officers' camp, which he was in, prisoners' camp, which was just a soldiers' camp, and then concentration camps. There was probably 25,000 airmen, mainly British, in his camp. When Patton's come down into Germany to kick butt, they started moving them on railroads or marching them down the southern part of Germany. He got out of there, and when he got liberated, Dwight Eisenhower shook his hand when he got out of the camp. Later, Dwight became our president. He come home and he started his little adventure with the Air National Guard. Back then, all they had was just light airplanes. He flew one out of where Greenbrier is right now. It was the Grass Airport there. He flew a trainer there for quite a while. But he maintained his time with the railroad. He thought the railroad would be a good place to work. He worked there for 40-some years. He taught a lot of boys how to become engineers. When he got into the Air National Guard, I don't know what his thoughts were, because I'd gotten drafted in 65, my little brother got drafted in 69. Maybe he felt he better do his part again. He wound up doing this medevac system with the hospitals around here. They went around and made agreements with Sartori. They didn't have Covenant then, they had choice. Allen Hospital and Iowa City and Mayo Clinic, and they had all the spots lined up to pick up all the patients. Sometimes he'd go out on an accident on the highway and pick up an injured person. Maybe he felt because of what he did during the war, he didn't know who he killed or who he bombed what, but maybe he was giving back, saving lives. But on the railroad, he killed a few people too there, just by accident. Somebody pulled in front of him on the train, and I never did talk to him about it. He always gave back to society and mainly to East Waterloo. He was with me all the time in football here, Vine Street Stadium, down in the old wrestling room, and on the track out there. We grew up together back here again, he and I, because when he get off the railroad over here, he'd come over damn near every chance he had and be with me. He volunteered at Lincoln Grade School for 6 years with that boy up there, my son, when he was in school there. And he made sure that all the kids had mittens for 5 years. He spent hundreds of dollars handing out mittens every winter for 5 years, and he just enjoyed the hell out of it. We put up a playground there. The list goes on and on. He and Mom did a lot of years in Red Cross. But I learned from him, I'll finish up with this, that you can never do enough to give back to your neighbors, your community, your schools, because it'll come back 10 times fold, which it has. And it's been an honor to be his son, knowing what he did, what he accomplished, and that greatest generation, his name's right at the top of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Hey, I just found out we were on Sammy Minton time, so offensive receiver Sammy Minton made an appearance. Sammy, stand up. Sammy Minton's in the house. Hey, before we get on to our next inductee, I forgot to mention this, but, 2 weeks ago they had this ceremony about the 5 players from Waterloo that went into the NFL. Many of you saw that on TV and stuff. And, they talk about, the tradition of East. But of the 5 players, West High, East High, East High, Central, probably would have gone to East if no Central, and East High. And Gary probably say the same thing. His uncle, Roger, got drafted by the old Chicago Cardinals? Chicago Bears and the Cardinals. So probably 5 out of the 6 players from Waterloo are from East High School. So just thought I'd throw that out. Our next inductee is for the coaches. It is Coach Willie Austin. Willie graduated from East and was on the 1969-1970 state championship team, playing in the defensive secondary. He then attended Luther College and graduated in 1975. Man, that's only 4 years. So you got through school in 4 years? I mean, you got to be one really smart dude, or Luther is really an easy school to go to, okay? He then started teaching and coaching in Waterloo. He coached at Hoover Junior High School, Central, and West High before returning to his alma mater. While at East, he coached boys track, assistant, and then head girls basketball coach, and a most valuable assistant for the varsity football, helping lead them to the state football playoffs. He continued his education by getting his master's in educational psychology from UNI in 1997, his EDD education degree from South Dakota in 2001. He currently is an associate professor in the teaching education department at the University of Nebraska at Omaha from 2001 to the present date. His current faculty assignment is the Graduate Chair of Equity in Education Master's Program, Chair of Diversity and Student Athlete Wellbeing Committee at the University Athletic Department. Okay, maybe you were that smart to get through in 4 years. The resume like that. And Luther might have been a tough school. He has coached college athletes in track and basketball in New York, Nebraska, and currently is the head track and field cross-country coach at Omaha Mercy High School. When our committee had nominations for the Ring of Honor ceremony, where's Tarek? Tarek Stevens made the most profound endorsement that as a player, he felt that he and his teammates could always talk to Coach Austin about anything in addition to football. And he was always there for them on and off the field. And what could be more of an acclaimed endorsement of what kind of coach you are by having that being said and thought about you as a player. The East High Football Hall of Fame is proud to welcome into the Ring of Honor 2019 inductee, Coach Willie Austin.
Congratulations, my man. Looking good.
This is totally unexpected. When I got the phone call from Tarek, I was like, who's trying to pull the wool over my eyes on this one? So every now and then I get students who are trying to play jokes on me one way or another. But what it did do after I talked to Charlie, and he told me what I had to do once I got here, or before I got here, send a resume of sorts to what I've been doing for the last 40-some years. I got to thinking as I was writing stuff down, and I was bouncing this off my wife, and she goes, you did some pretty good things. How come I didn't know about them? Well, I got to thinking about it, and as I was putting stuff down, I thought of the coaches that I had when I was here, and they're sitting out there in the audience, right there. I was also thinking about some of my classmates and teammates like JD. We grew up together. And remember when the only thing we ever dreamed of was wearing the orange and black. And then thinking again, some of the other coaches that I've had and some of the other teammates that I've had, like Mike Woodley, that basically is what I have used as a motivation or a goal in my professional career. Anything that I've ever done professionally that made any bit of difference in the positive for my student athletes or for my students, I learned here at East High, either from my teammates, my classmates, or my coaches. And I want to thank you for that. I just hope to continue to pay it forward a little bit, pay it back. Thank you.
All right, moving on to our player inductees, starting with Dennis Anderson. Dennis was a slapback on East's #1 ranked football team in 1974, helping to lead them to East's first ever state playoff berth. Known for making the big play when the big play needed to be made to ignite East High's offense. You can hear his teammate, where's Ron Turner at? Ron Turner telling on the DVD back there his account of the East, on memory tape, of the East Central game. And apparently at that game, the score was 0-0 at halftime. And Central was really pumped up because they thought they had the #1 team on the state on the ropes. Well, to start the second half, Central kicked off to East, and Dennis was the kickoff returner, and he ran it all the way back for a touchdown, igniting the Trojan offense to a 46-6 win. Is that right, Ron? Yeah. And of course, you had the key block, right? Whatever you say. Dennis also participated in track and ran in the Drake relays and was the Big 8 champion in the 440-yard dash. As an underclassman, he wrestled in a state tournament and capped off his mat career at East, winning the wrestling state championship for Iowa at 145 pounds his senior year. He continued his education at Winona State College, earning a teacher major degree and a minor in psychology. You know, now that's the second inductee we've had with a psychology degree after leaving East High School, so I wonder what's up with that. While wrestling at Winona, he became the Northern Intercollegiate Wrestling Champion in 1978. Upon graduating, he was named head wrestling coach at Houston High School in southeastern Minnesota. Dennis then moved to Minneapolis and worked in the manufacturing in the die cast for the next 28 years in the positions of lead and quality inspector. During that time, he was also head wrestling coach at Columbia Heights High School, training his wrestlers how to freestyle wrestle and Olympic style wrestle, and had a number of state champions each year. He now works at Kurt Manufacturing in Fridley, Minnesota, and plans to enjoy the good life when he will retire in February of 2020. Dennis is the 7th member of East Football to be joining his brother, Carl Anderson, in memorial into the Ring of Honor, along with the brother combinations of Jerry, Neil, Tim Moses, Mike, Willie Allen, Paul Owen, Brian Jones, Norm, Lou, Carl Montgomery, Roger, Eugene Stevens, Reggie, Mike Roby, and Greg and Jeff Ott. The East High Football Hall of Fame is proud to welcome into the Ring of Honor 2019 inductee Dennis Anderson.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Oh man, it's such a great honor to be a member of the 2019 Ring of Honor. Ever since I was young, my brother played, Carl Anderson. Every Friday night we come to Eastside and watch all the home games. I mean, such great players. That's why I'm so honored to be a member. I mean, I watched Andrew Robinson, Tom Smith, John Dunn, Michael Allen, Tisdale, Roby. I mean, I can go on. Neil Moses. So that's what it means to me, being in the honor of Ring of Honor. And I'd like to thank all my coaches, entire team, 1973, 1974, because I couldn't have done it without them, especially that offensive line that had to block, they were blocking for me, open up them holes. Now, Charlie mentioned something about one of the games. Well, I had that in my speech too. I was going to say something about it. So,
Turner wanted some spotlight. Turner wanted.
So now, I'd like to talk about a couple of the memorable games that I had. And the first game was against Ames, Iowa, on the road, down in Ames High School. We played Ames. We didn't play that good first half. It was 0-0. And we wasn't too happy. We go in the locker room quiet. So second half, we come back out, always high. I think I scored about 2 or 3 touchdowns, 1 call back. And now I remember one of the guys, it finally hit me when he says, write a resume, and I started thinking about all that stuff. There was a Ames, Iowa player that came up to me from an opponent. After the game, he said, man, you're fast, And he also said, they told us, I'm saying, who is they? They told us we only had to worry about Norman Montgomery. So I want to talk about the Central game now. Back in the day, that's when they started busing. They shipped some of our players out to West High. Then they built a new high school, Central High, and they took our junior varsity squad. They didn't touch our seniors, but they took our junior varsity. Not all of them, but most of them. Most of them went to Central. So we had to play these guys. We grew up with them. We lived in the same neighborhoods with them. We went to junior high school with them. And the first time East High had to play Central, we always played West. They had some too. But Central had the most players that we played with. So the first half comes along. Man, we didn't play that good. It was 0-0 at halftime. We were so quiet going into the locker room. Man, The Sloan Wallace Stadium, we was in a locker room, and Central was in another locker room. We could hear Central howling and yelling, hey, they were so happy they was tied with us 0-0. They were so happy like they won the game. So, okay, second half, East High woke up. The second half come out. Roger Kittleson, he must have told Craig Copper, screen pass, Denny Anderson. That was a touchdown, untouched. Yeah, well, I remember the screen pass. I remember the screen pass. So in another series, 27 sweep. Right around the left side, 27 sweep, touchdown, untouched. This is for you, Ron. 34 counter, off tackle. Ron Turner opened up the Red Sea for me. I went right through there, untouched. Touchdown. Man, we shut them up. They didn't make no noise after that. We scored, I don't know, I think we scored 34 points. He says 40-something, but we scored a lot of points in the second half and went on and won that game. And I couldn't have done that without the rest of my teammates because they were blocking downfield, opening up them holes, so I got to give a lot of thanks to them. So that's all I want to say. I'm just proud to be in the Ring of Honor, and God bless it. Thank you.
Our next inductee will move on, but we have another gentleman just came in, coaches over at Carver. Do not want to leave him out. 2017 inductee, Andre Galloway. See, Sammy and Andre, when you come late, you know, you get the big applause. That's good timing. You learned that from Mike Allen. Our next player inductee is Sean McGrain. Sean is a 1992 graduate of East High School. As captain of the football team in 1991, he was a two-way starter as an offensive tackle and defensive end. He earned postseason recognition as All-Metro, First Team All-Big 8 Conference, and honorable mention All-State selections as an offensive lineman. Sean was also the first East High football player to be named to the Iowa Academic All-Star Team. He was also selected to participate in the 1992 Iowa Shrine All-Star Game. Sean was a member of the 1992 basketball team, right? Yeah. Okay, we'll get to that. And in 1990 to 92, with the track and field teams, he qualified for the 92 Drake Relays and was a state place finisher in the 1992 state relays at the discus. Sean graduated as one of 3 class valedictorians in 1992 and earned academic recognition as a National Merit Finalist. He attended University of Oklahoma and earned a BS in Mechanical Engineering. No, they didn't have psychology? Okay. And his MBA from the University of Michigan, Dearborn. Sean's professional career has included design and manufacturing engineering roles in both Ford Motor Company and Caterpillar. In 2004, Sean married another East High graduate, Georgie Allen McCrane. They have 3 children, Dylan, Callum, and Kira. Sean currently lives in Peoria, Illinois, working as an engineering manager with Caterpillar. Now, Sean, from talking to an old classmate of yours, Darren Turnier at Kraft Cochran, he told me about your basketball adventure at the University of Oklahoma, okay? You know, while playing basketball for East on the team, Sean had a specific and designed role on the team, as many of Coach McGraw's players always did. Sean was the team's designated enforcer on defense. You know, a player gets 5 fouls a game before they're disqualified, and Sean used his up most every game, usually in the first half. Opposing players would drive to the lane for a clear layup. The next thing you know, bam, he's knocked to the floor. Called foul, and Sean like, hey, that was all ball. What do you mean? Come on. When the middle needed to be clogged up on defense and no layups, as Coach McGraw said, Sean, get in there and do your thing. So when Sean went to Oklahoma, he had a chance to be a preferred walk-on for the traditional powerhouse football team. But he declined. That opportunity was lost. What he really wanted to do is play basketball for the Sooners and Coach Billy Tubbs. Sean was shocked and in total disbelief that they didn't give full-ride scholarships out to guys to hack, hammer, and foul other guys on a consistent basis. Also given the fact that Sean was 6'2", post player, shot 23% field goal percentage from any player outside of 3 feet, and a 41% free throw shooter, might have contributed to that decision. Broken-hearted that his athletic playing days were over, he focused on his education, earning a Bachelor of Science degree in mechanical engineering, which, Sean, I suppose isn't the worst thing that ever happened. But that was just a story. I don't know. That's what Darren said. Rumor has it. Who knows? But the East High Football Ring of Honor Hall of Fame is proud to welcome into the Ring of Honor 2019 inductee Sean McGrain.
Congratulations, big guy. Thank you. Love it.
Thank you, everyone, for the applause. I think Darren was being really nice. I don't think I actually ever made a basket for the East High basketball team. I did make a few fouls. I know that for a fact. A lot of the guys want to tell stories about the great games they had. I tend to remember all the moments in between the games. That's the stuff that kind of stuck with me the most. Fun facts, 31 years ago, Coach DeWard let me play linebacker in practice. I didn't get to play in the games. And I was so excited I got to play. I came around the corner and I completely cleaned out the quarterback in practice. And Coach didn't let me play linebacker anymore that day. It's okay though, the guy I hit ended up becoming one of my best friends. Is Andy Jolly. Andy helped me out a lot during the later years in football. Andy happened to be the placeholder when I was long snapping, and he was nice enough to catch every rolling ball I threw back there after I got tired during the games. By the fourth quarter, he said, I don't care if it rolls, just get it back here, Sean. I'm like, okay, thank you. So some more fun facts. It's been about 28 years since I heard somebody yell, good shot, good shot, good shot on the sleds. That's Coach Seeley. That was our warm-up for the games. That was always a lot of fun. Probably about 30 years since I got embarrassed in the weight room by Coach Kittleson when myself, Andy, Brad Iverson, and Brandon Scroggins, I think we're the only 4 people down in the weight room, and Coach was throwing up twice as much on the bench than we could ever do. So wasn't ever destined for Olympic powerlifting either. So for the most part, I'm really honored to be included in this group. I never really once considered myself to be an elite football player. I thought I was a good football player. I like to be out there with the team. I always felt that it was more fun to be involved in those types of things. The games were great, the practices were hard, but being with all those friends, it was a lot of fun. And it's neat seeing a lot of the people here today, a lot of guys that I haven't seen in probably 30 years. So it's interesting to see where everybody's gone in their time. Myself, I was blessed enough to meet my wife at our 10-year high school reunion. She happened to be voted the most athletic person in East High, which is still probably true for me. So I just really appreciate this honor. Thank you very much. And when Charlie asked me to make sure I had a speech ready, I told him, okay, I can do it. He said, yeah, just make it about 4 to 5 minutes. And I said, 45 minutes? I could probably only go 30, but I'll probably cut it short. Charlie, thank you. Mike, thank you. And everyone, appreciate it very much. It's an honor to be here.
Our next inductee is Joe Rogers. Joe was an offensive defensive tackle starting on the 1969-1970 state championship football team at East High School. He was selected All-Metro, honorable mention All-State, in addition to being All-Metro. He went on to Indian Hills Junior College on a football scholarship, but returned to Waterloo soon after for personal reasons. Joe joined the Waterloo workforce, starting at Rath Packing in Waterloo, and then moved to the Great Plains Gas Company in Raymond and the FRC Packing in West Union. While working in Waterloo, there was a Sunday afternoon flag football league over at Stadium Annex, where Joe continued to stand out. Do many of you remember that at all, or any of you played in that Sunday afternoon? Yeah, and you still don't have broken bones to be all right? Rather rough league. Well, if you thought Joe Rogers was an imposing, physical, hard-hitting player for East every Friday night with pads on and certified officials, that was nothing compared to Sunday afternoon when Joe played with no pads on and volunteer officials at that time. Joe was a very quiet and unassuming person off the field, but on it was a totally different story, as many found out on Friday nights and later Sunday afternoon, as not many wanted to tangle with Joe. Joe recently retired as a park ranger in Lanesboro, Minnesota, after 15 years, and now lives on his farm and enjoys deer hunting and other projects on his acreage. He married Sue Tibbles in 1973, and we all pass along our condolences as she recently passed away in March of 2019 after 46 years of marriage. Joe had a conflict, unfortunately, and I know it's disappointing for some of us that he is not here, but accepting on his behalf is his son Clint. And at this time, the East High Football Hall of Fame is proud to welcome into the Ring of Honor 2019 inductee Joe Rogers.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you for everybody involved in tonight, throwing a class act ceremony like this. It's an honor. I know my dad is not here tonight, which if any of you know my dad, that's my dad. I was actually coaching my linebackers when I got the notification that he wasn't going to be able to make it tonight. So I was going to assume a seat where you are right now. But I don't have the privilege of typing anything out for you tonight, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to gut blitz it. So we're going to wing it a little bit. So when I showed up tonight, first thing you do is throw me in front of a camera and ask me, what are some of the early memories if you have your dad? Well, it's not so much the early memories from Waterloo East that I have. It's the flag football on Sundays when I was a little kid going, which I called it Rocket Park as a little kid, and going and seeing those guys play. As they're introducing people, the members of the Ring of Honor, a lot of those names sound familiar. Stories my dad talking about the guys that he played with in high school and in the Flag Football League. So we've always grew up as a real strong football family. And it started with the flag football memories. And then when I turned about 8, 9 years old, I'm a typical 8, 9-year-old kid. I'm liking the Steelers. I'm liking the Cowboys. And my dad just had enough of that crap. He goes, all right, we're going to sit down and you get a decision to make. You got to pick one college and one pro team. I'm like, shit, man, I'm 8 years old. So I picked Michigan Wolverines, Chicago Bears. Well, that really made him mad because he's an Iowa Hawkeye fan and a Vikings fan. So we've had that rivalry through the years. Then as we got older, I started to develop a little bit into an athlete and playing some high school football. And every honor that I got, Dad made sure that he had brought his scrapbook out, and which my mom, or my Grandma Doris, did like any other mom did, had a great scrapbook of all the honors that he had and the wins that 2-year span of his junior, senior year in football, all the clippings. He showed me pictures of him and Jerry, in a cartoon or a clipping. I got one picture of him and Jerry sitting on my grandma's couch. I'm talking about Jerry Moses, of course. And so every time I get an honor, he'd had to one-up me. So then we get into college, and it really starts getting serious. So when I got all conference, he had to one-up me. Got all American, he had to one-up me. I got inducted in the Hall of Fame, he had to one-up me. But now that he's in this Hall of Fame, we're even. But being Joe's son, I knew big shoes to fill. He's very quiet, he's reserved, and I've already probably talked 3 minutes longer than he would have tonight. So thank you for the honor on behalf of my dad. I know my mom just passed away, but she was a big part of who my dad is, and he's still struggling with that. But on behalf of Joe Rogers and myself and my family, thank you very much.
Continuing with our distinguished inductees is Ken Rosenkrantz. Ken was a first-team All-State selection at center, along with All-Metro and All-Conference for the 1968 state championship football team. He accepted a full-ride scholarship in football at UNI, and the year that he went there, that was the first year freshmen became eligible to play on the varsity level. A long time ago, they just had a freshman team, and then you could not play. But when Ken went there, that was lifted, and he played all 4 years for the Panthers, helping UNI to several successful seasons. By going to UNI, Ken started and paved the way for other East High football players to go to UNI and play for the Panthers. I don't know what UNI thought, but they didn't think East High people could play for him until Ken got there and started. After Ken Rosenkrantz came Mike Allen, then came Mike Woodley, then came Charlie Aldrich, followed by Neil Moses, on to Norm Montgomery, and continued with Tim Moses. All East High Ring of Honor inductees, which is started by Ken Rosenkrantz at UNI. Go, Pam. All right. Mark Wilson, I'm sorry, you're correct. Thank you, Randy. After graduating from UNI, Ken spent the next 15 years in banking, climbing what he called the corporate ladder that took him from Waterloo to Chicago, LA, Denver, and eventually being promoted to senior vice president position in operations. He later moved into the security operations field, working in both physical and electric securities until his retirement. Just like Joe Rogers, he was a quieter person than some of his teammates. Watkins? Okay. But he had that presence about him that made you straighten up and be on your toes whenever Ken Rosenkrantz came around. I tell you, I remember being at Old Logan Junior High School when Ken was a 9th grader, and myself and Kendall Deal and Rick Tagto, we were in 7th grade, and we were being in the hallway just messing around, and Ken would walk by and say, "Hey, how you doing? What's going on?" We're like, "Yeah, nothing, Ken. Whatever you say is going on, and whatever you want's going on is going on, Ken. Whatever you say, man." He's like, "Good to hear." Moved on. He is here with his wife, coming all the way from Phoenix, Arizona, to be here tonight. We know he's also celebrating his 50th year class reunion, and we appreciate Steve Gillen and Sharon Lovelace scheduling that reunion around our Ring of Honor. So thanks for adjusting that 50-year reunion to coincide with us. The East High Football Ring of Honor is proud to welcome into the Football Hall of Fame 2019 inductee Ken Rosenkrantz.
Thank you. Good job. Thank you. Ooh, I don't know how I get past that. Dang. Charlie, you're too kind. You got a much better memory than I do. As my wife would say, that's not saying a whole heck of a lot anymore. Good evening. Thank you, especially to the committee, Charlie, Steve, the alumni committee, especially for putting this all together on the same weekend. I really appreciate that. To my coaches, Coach Van Oort, I was hoping Coach Vernon would be here. My teammates, whom I haven't seen most of in the last 50 years, Dennis Hankner, Mike Watkins, Cole Southworth, Mike Woodley. Of course, Mike and I played together at UNI. But it's great to be back. It's great to walk the halls of Troy again. And it's hard to believe it's been 50 years since we last did that. There's so many memories. You know, we were good. And thanks to Coach Van Oort, Coach Vernon, and we were amazing. We never lost a game. I never lost a game in high school. I never lost until I went to college. And, well, I'll tell you, that was tough. But, you know, these guys brought together a group of young men from all different schools, all different backgrounds, and molded us into the best football team in the state. And I would throw down the challenge that we were one of the best in the country. We were that good. You know, turbulent 60s, late 60s, holy crap. You talk about stuff. You know, people talk today about the issues. Let me tell you, the 60s were pretty tough. And not once did it interfere with our being a football team. We were all tough. We were all hung together. We all respected each other and loved each other and worked hard to be what we became. And I don't think without those life lessons I could be, or many of us could be as successful as we all became. A lot of life lessons. Setting goals, following through on those goals, treating others with respect. You know, I've been very blessed in my career. I achieved some goals that I never thought I'd meet. A young kid from Waterloo, I've traveled in pretty much every state in this country and some other countries as well. So I've been very blessed to do that. Climb the proverbial corporate ladder, which, good and bad, you know, but it is what it is. But I don't regret it, you know, and those lessons that I learned here at East High School paved that way. You know, it was a good career. Without that foundation, I couldn't have done half of what I had set out to do. So I thank everybody. I thank my coaches. I thank my teammates, friends, relatives, my wife, my sister, you name it. You know, we're all very, very proud to be here. You know, God bless the halls of Troy, and it's great to be a Trojan. So thank you.
And rounding out our panel of outstanding inductees is Brenton Shavers. He was a varsity starter for 2 seasons at outside linebacker, named first team Big 8 Conference, All-Metro, and honorable mention All-State, helping lead East defense to the 1986 state playoffs. After graduating from East, Brenton attended Simpson College and transitioned into the sport of track and field, where he excelled while he was at East. Mr. Lampin was your coach at that time, right? Very good. Brenton earned All-American honors 4 times prior to suffering a right brachial plexus nerve injury during the 1990 football season, which left him paralyzed in his arm. The following track season, he qualified for the national track meet with one of the fastest times in the high hurdles while running with his right arm strapped to his body. He then coached track and field at the college level while earning his administrative degree. He has held several administrative positions at different schools in Waterloo and currently serves as the Director of Athletics here at East High School. As mentioned earlier, Brenton was our weak side linebacker, going opposite of the strong side, offensive strong formation. This didn't mean that he was a weaker linebacker. It was because, as Coach Kettleson and we did at the time, and Coach Shealy, we could always count on Brenton staying at home on the weak side and not getting sucked up on running across, and then they'd come back with a counter or a reverse or a weak side screen, and we'd be burnt. Brenton stayed right at home until he saw where the play was developed, and then bam, pursue it, run it down, and a lot of times make the tackles using his speed and agility. You know, a lot of times it was to the strong side linebacker's side. And us coaches would ask Orrington Gardner, the strong side linebacker, why could Brenton come all the way over from the weak side and make the tackle in an area that he was responsible for? And of course, you know what Orrington's answer was? Well, you know, they always need 4 or 5 guys to block me. That's why Brenton could always get there in time. We just said, okay, Orrington, as long as we make that tackle for a minimal gain. But we also try to figure out that, Orrington, why you didn't make those same plays to the weak side. Must have been those 4 or 5 guys blocking you way on the weak side so you couldn't get over there. Anyway, something like that, Orrington? Yeah, okay. As mentioned before, with Gary and Eugene Stevens, Brenton joins his dad, Manny Holmes, as the 7th father-son combination to be inducted into the Ring of Honor. The East High Football Hall of Fame is proud to welcome into the Ring of Honor 2019 inductee, Brenton Shaver.
Good to see you.
You too. Oh my goodness. Can you hear me? This is awesome. This is a great experience to sit here today in front of you all, and such an honor to the committee, to you all, and I thank you so much. You know, as I was sitting here trying to figure out what to say tonight, I kept thinking about my middle school years, and as a 7th grader, you know, you see all these people and you think, oh God, they were great athletes in middle school. Well, I really wasn't. You know, I was that, and Marv, you can attest to this. I was on C team as a 7th grader, and as a middle linebacker, I think I weighed about, 95 pounds or something, but I was in there. As a linebacker, you know, 8th grade, I moved up to B team. It wasn't until I got to high school that it became a little bit easier for me. But I truly remember into those middle school years going to Sloan Wallace, you know, watching my cousins, Warren Jones, Chris Jones, and although not a cousin of mine, but I kept thinking, God, I wish I could play like Darius Lovelace. Where's Darius? I kept thinking that. So, you know, I couldn't wait to be a Trojan. So when I got here, it was great. But I got here, I wasn't the fastest. I wasn't the strongest by in any stretch, nor the most talented. one of the things I did, I tried to work hard every day at practice. I tried to give it my all in whatever sport it was. Well, maybe not track. I was just a high jumper at that time, so I laid out on the mat while everybody practiced. But one of the individuals I think that really brought out the best in me, and he's in this room tonight. I asked him to be here because when I was inducted into my college Hall of Fame, I spoke a lot about him, and he wasn't there, so I really wanted to make sure he was here tonight. But Al Lampman, he would always pull me aside. He would tell me things, and he may not remember this, but he would always tell me not to quit, not to give up, but instead always try to find that competitive edge that you can really improve yourself, but also have that advantage over others. And that's something that I really tried to work through my whole high school career, and I took that on into college. I know Charlie mentioned moving into college. I played my first year of college football, but then I quit and went into the track and field. Kip Jandren, who was a decathlete who went to Simpson and who competed at Barcelona in the decathlon, really got me into track and field and doing the decathlon. Through all that time, though, I loved it, and I missed football, but track and field is where I thought I excelled. And it wasn't until my senior year when I decided to go back out for football, and my third game in against Wartburg, I tell our kids here, tackle with your head up. That was my mistake, and I paid dearly for that. Severed nerves in my spinal column, C5, 6, and 7. So that was really difficult for me to get through, but one of the things that I remembered through all of this is that guy in high school that put me in a car, drove me down to Ames. I believe it was Ames or Ankeny, I can't remember which one it was. Got me into this track and field thing and told me, I think you can really do this, even though all I ever did in high school was high jump. He told me to go do this pentathlon, 5 events, none of them other than the high jump that I've ever done before, and loved it. So, but it was always that statement that I kept remembering all the way through, and still to this day is, find that competitive edge over others. And because of that one guy, those little whispers in my ear, I truly know that it only takes one individual to make you feel like you can accomplish anything. And Al, thank you so much.
Okay, Brent, we always have a little poll on who talks the longest, and I didn't think it would be you. I had my money on McGrain, but nice job. At this time, we have been asked by several former players and students to make a presentation to East High School on their behalf. So I'll turn this over to former player and student Gabe Benson to come up here at this time. And after the presentation, he will draw the winning numbers for the raffle for the autographed t-shirts. And Mr. Shealy would like to make a quick announcement, and back to Mr. Parker, and then we will wrap things up here. Gabe Benson.
First of all, can everybody hear me? In the back especially? Awesome, okay. So good evening again, my name's Gabe Benson, I'm class of 1994. And first of all, I want to congratulate all the newest members of the Ring of Honor. This is an awesome night. I've been coming for many years, and it's just so great to see these coaches, these players that I heard about, played for, and so thank you for that. But I'm here to speak about Brian Jones. And I know we've lost some great members of the Ring of Honor, but I'm not here to talk about his football career or his coaching career. I'm here to talk about students like myself that absolutely love Brian Jones as a person, as an educator, as a man, as a husband and a father. When me and some of my classmates and friends and former students of Brian got together, we couldn't think of a better night than tonight to just say thank you. Thank you to him, thank you to his family, wife Peggy, their daughters Lindsay, Kelly, and their son Nick, and thank you for being here tonight as well. We want to thank the Ring of Honor for letting us have this platform, because this is all about the Ring of Honor. But he was a member of this Ring of Honor, and I know that many of you loved and cared for Brian just like we did. So I had the distinct pleasure to be up here. I'm very humbled and honored to speak for so many of the other students that he had. I want to thank Principal Parker, Assistant Principal and Athletic Director, new member of the Ring of Honor, Brenton Shavers, and also Assistant Principal Josh Payton, because their help has been tremendous with putting all of this together. The thing about Brian is he never stopped caring about his former students and his former players. After they left East High, it wasn't, hey, goodbye, good luck. It's, do you need anything now or in the future, off the field, on the field, in the classroom? I'm here to help you. He had a huge heart, and he helped anyone that would ask. And I know one of his proudest accomplishments in the 11 years he was a head coach and an educator during his time here at East High is every single year he had at least one member of the first team, all-state academic team, including this man behind me, Sean McGrain, who started it all off. Brian retired June of 2018 from teaching here in the Waterloo schools after 33 years. He taught and mentored hundreds and thousands of wonderful young men and women in a school district that has so many students that come from both financial and family hardships. He was always helpful and encouraging to any of the students that needed assistance and guidance. He was a student himself here, so he knew more than anybody else what it was like to grow up on the east side of Waterloo. He was always there to give a hand up, not a handout. He knew when to be tough. He knew when to threaten us. He knew when to listen and when to give advice, but always he was honest and straight up with everyone. So thank you for your friendship, your teammates, you coaches and colleagues that were a part of Brian Jones's life. He was unable to attend last year for the first time, this event, and I know it broke his heart to see some of his former student athletes get inducted without him being here. But I know tonight he's with us in spirit. So after knowing him as a coach, a teacher, a mentor, and a friend for 25 years, I am so happy that the East High family is here to honor his memory and his contributions to our community. So in closing, I just want to say that in my lifetime, I feel there's 3 categories we put people in for friends. There's people we put in for a specific season in our life, maybe a teammate, a coworker. But when you leave that job or that season's over, you might see them once in a while. They're your friend, but it just moves on. A friend for a reason is when somebody comes into our life for a specific purpose. Maybe you go through a divorce or a hard time. Maybe you lose a loved one, and they're there for you. But then as that time passes and you come to grips with that, they kind of move out of your life. And then finally, there's that friend that's forever. And I know for so many of us, and myself included, that Brian Jones fit in the friends forever category. He was there through thick and thin. You could trust him and share confidence with him and know that he would never break your trust. So again, thank you so much for this time. Thank you, Brian Jones. We will never forget you. God bless. Thank you. The plaques that Brian's family has, we're going to donate one of those to be put up here. And thank you again to the school administration. And then the rest of them are going to go to his family. So I want to thank one of my former classmates and his student, Shane Goings, for making these and donating them free of charge through his company. So thank you, Shane. One more piece of business. Mr. Shealy, can you come up and help me? Yes, sir. That's what we're doing. All right. So, some of you don't know me, and that's fine. Some of you sent me checks for generous donations to help out with this night, and I want to say thank you so much. With those donations, we were allowed to and able to get these wonderful 15th anniversary t-shirts. As the members came in tonight, all of them that came in, they signed these t-shirts. So we are going to draw for 2 autographed t-shirts, and the winner should have their ticket, and you guys can come on up and collect these awesome signed, autographed Ring of Honor 15th anniversary t-shirts. All right.
Number 337456.
Got it? All right.
All right.
All right. One more.
Number 337490.
All right.
Thank you.
I think I want to do a breakdown now. I don't know if you guys are ready for one.
Hi, good evening. This is unusual, but it just happened to me, and I wanted to make sure I had a chance to tell everybody about it. As some of you may know, I've had a few medical problems the last few years, and I've had the opportunity to be at Rochester for a number of times. And my last visit to Rochester, I was visiting with one of the nurses, and another one came in and says, "Coach Shealy, there's somebody here that wants to meet you." And I says, "Who in the heck in Rochester would meet Coach Shealy?" And the guy came in and he says, "Hey, I was a member of a football team called the Titans. You might remember it. We made a movie about it." I go, "Oh yeah, I saw the movie. It was a good one." He says, "I always wanted to meet somebody from East Waterloo High School because they were better than us." Thank you.
I don't know if it's ever good when you're close to last. I know everybody's ready to go. It's been a long day. But I wanted to mention a couple of things very quickly. At least from this year, we've went through a reorganization. And if you know that our Booster Club has reorganized, please raise your hand so I can get an idea. Wow, okay. So this is important because it's a very big initiative that we've been going through as a school, and it's been a huge push. Our Booster Club was formerly known as Big E Booster, and it's now called Trojan United. There is a huge reorganization that's been put in place. We just went through putting officers, different committees have been set up, and there's a big structure because we want to make sure that we infuse a lot into our athletic programs. We are doing this across the board for different parts of the school, academics, athletics. We want to make sure we provide as many resources as we can for all of our teams, our football team, basketball, baseball, and the football program is a huge part of everything that happens as far as generating money, taking money, and we want to make sure that we do everything we can for them. That takes a lot of what everybody has in this room, pride in this school. If you are in this room right now, that means that you have a strong connection to East High. If you're in this room right now, especially for all of you in the Ring of Honor, that means that you spent blood, sweat, and tears on a football field. This is something that everybody's connected to, and what we're trying to do is to maintain that connection for everyone and find a way to continue to have everyone come together and provide resources for the school. So what we've done, this is our sponsorship sheet. And even as a basic sponsor, just to receive information about things that are going on, you don't have to pay anything, do anything, but there are different levels of sponsorship. We want to make sure that we present this to everyone across the country. We're doing, if you at any time have any love, interest, pride in East High and Waterloo, then we want to make sure that we have an opportunity for you to get information about what's going on, to keep you connected. T-shirts, we have tickets again. There are different levels here, but this is something I definitely want to make sure that as former athletes here and anyone who has any love for this organization, if in this school, that we put this out there for you. So we have sheets out in the back with pens. Please take and fill out now if you can. Take one with you, but we want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to get involved in this reorganization for our booster program. So thank you, guys.
All right, thank you, Mr. Parker. Okay, just a few house cleaning ideas here before we finish up. 2019 inductees. When we get done, we're going to take a picture here with Carlos Frazier from CeeLo's. You guys will stand right in the front. All Ring of Honor members, come on up here. We're going to get a mass picture, get it framed, and because Brent Shavers is athletic director, I'm sure it's going to be placed in a really nice spot somewhere out here. A reminder of our post-ceremony gathering at the Waterloo Eagles afterwards. We want you all to come down. Everybody is invited to come join us. Just go right down East 5th Street, turn on Sycamore till you get to 1st Street, and then we'll go from there. Before you leave, remember, we have the DVD memory tape for purchase in the back. We have the bricks walkway if you want to try to do that. Mike, what am I forgetting? I'm going to get to that, Mike. Like I'm not organized? Now, we want to finish off the night with the best note available with our school fight song. So we're going to bring up the Bruce Springsteen of East High School and the alumni East High Glee Club. So come on over here. We want you all to stand up. And I tell you what, if you sing off key, you're going to fit right in. So let's stand up here. Come on up here. Come on up here. Come on this side. Get over here, Kathy. Come on, Lynette.
Come on, Gabe.
Come on, Gabe. Ready? Ready? Da 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 da. Cheer, cheer for East Waterloo. Wake up the echoes cheering for you. Send the volley cheer on high. Shake down the thunder from the sky. What though the odds be great or small, East Waterloo will win overall. While her loyal sons are marching onward to victory. E-A-S-T-H-I-D-A. Yeah.
I am a Trojan.
We are orange and black.
I am a Trojan.
We are orange and black.
I am a Trojan.
We are orange and black.
We are orange and black.
We are East High.